It's your girl, Mary Vin Rose, and you're tuning into Around the Way with the GirlMob. In today's special episode, we're going to be tackling femininity and taboos around body hair. In the studio with me, I have a very special guest.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
You're so welcome. All this hair pressure.
So we obviously had a lot of conversations off camera, and it was deep. I like to give our viewers at home who are watching us on YouTube or a podcast to get to know a little bit about you.
Okay.
So just give me your name, maybe a fun fact about yourself, and how you found out about the GirlMob.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mona Musa. Mona. I have to do this my whole life. Not Mona. Mona like money. Fun facts. Food.
So what's your favorite type of food?
I don't have one. I have to always have options in my life. I just need it to be homemade and made with love, and maybe sometimes.
So you're not a chain restaurant person. It's like you have to have
No, I have to have like real homemade food, but then sometimes at like 2 a.m. I'll need like McDonald's if I'm having a bad day.
Got it. I understand.
You know, work in branding, so anything from social media management to curating and producing events. I know the GirlMob from Jotty. I don't even know, from years ago, being at the first GirlMob day, second GirlMob day.
Oh, yes.
Trap aerobics for the first time.
Shout out. No shameless plug. We have, TGM Day coming up real soon.
Yes.
So we're going to jump right into the first question.
Let's do it.
And the first question is, what's your own personal definition of femininity? Like, does that have a look? Does it have an energy? Like, what is femininity to you?
I think it does. And I thought about this when we talked before, and I was like, all of a sudden I was like boxing it in and thinking like, okay, like I need a definition. And then I realized like just being able to be comfortable in your skin and be who you are, I think as a woman is really, really important. I always struggle with fitting in like somewhere. I think my ethnicity was always the catalyst of feeling boxed in. And then like when I was a tomboy, they were like, oh, you're not girly enough. You're not this. And I'm like, what is that? I have 3 brothers. Like, what is this? Where? I don't know. This is how I am, who I am. But I think it's just being powerful and strong and being confident in your skin and your body, hair or otherwise. But
would you say it's a look? Like, how would you describe that?
No, I don't think it's a look. I definitely don't think it's a look. I think it's how you hold yourself. I guess I compare it, for me, I could only say my personal experience. So, I was born in this body. I, identify as, as a woman, as a female, as, feminine. And I think that I don't know. I really struggle with it because I work with a lot of people who, are like gender nonconforming and things like that. So that's like where I think I'm like, they're struggling with me defining it right now, because I don't want to, upset the definition of it. Yeah, but for me, it's just being able to be
yourself.
Like yourself. But if you want to talk a little bit, like outlandish or loud, my voice sounds like it does. So I think
would you say you've been stereotyped as being masculine when you're doing that? Like when you're talking loud or you're just being assertive, would you say people are like, you're being kind of masculine or like a guy?
Yeah, like a dude. And then like, saying like, oh, other like, women don't like that. Other women don't like, like find that even, like comfortable. Like I think I've had a lot of times like fitting in, like, oh, like, I'll just talk out, talk out of left field or whatever it is. And it's like, oh, like you're kind of rough around the edges. And I found myself like toning that, down, maybe more so like in high school and then into like college. And then I snapped like right out of it, probably like by my sophomore year. Being a Philly will do that to you. You just kind of like have to adjust. And everybody trying to like fit you in, like, where do you fit? Are you black? Are you white? Are you this? Are you a tomboy? I'm like, I'm trying to figure it out. So femininity to me has always been
just who you are. You just embody it.
Yeah, and a balance of, I think I said this when we spoke, like I think and is greater than or. Like, why do I have to be super feminine and girly and be into makeup or whatever that means? And I can also just want to, throw my hair in a bun for like 6 days straight and, not have to worry about shaving my legs.
So I think for me, like feminine energy, being feminine is an energy. And I think is an energy that should be embraced by both genders, right? Or 3, 4, 5, whatever you identify as. I think it's something that we all contain. We both contain feminine energy and masculine energy. I think we need both to survive. I know I've struggled with it because I've been called out, especially in work environments, saying that I don't embody feminine energy. I feel like because it's a time and place, not every single situation calls for me to have that energy.
Right.
I feel like you talked a little bit about your upbringing. I too feel very fortunate that my family, multicultural, multiracial, multi-religious household, and because of that, my parents were very open to allowing me as a little girl, just tapping into both, like being a child who wanted a Ninja Turtle party, because I'm very like, I was that girl jumping off of stuff and running around in dirt. I wasn't that girl. I didn't, like, even now, like, I very rarely do my nails. I don't see, like, I don't find it to be part of my self-care. I'm more of a skincare girl, if anything, but to me, self-care is more about doing the things that I find to be difficult to do, like go to the doctor, make time for that.
For yourself. Yeah. What you just said about jumping around, like, I remember for one time for Halloween, like, I wanted to be like Dracula and Frankenstein, like both of them, of course.
At the same time?
At the same time. And my mom was like, you know, she was like, oh, you know, the other girl, I was like 8. I was like, absolutely not. Like, I need to do this. And I remember she got like lazy, and like, you know, Frankenstein has those bolts, and she duct taped them.
I had a feeling, I like some type of tape is about to come out.
Yeah, and they're, you know, so.
That's hilarious. So what do you think about that, both, or whoever gender, however someone identifies, do you think that feminine energy should be embodied by everyone?
Yes, I do. I think we can have feminine and masculine energies, like the, you know, beliefs. I think if we allowed ourselves to be able to balance those two, I think about men too, you know, especially like men of color having to feel like, I can't be emotional, I can't cry. That makes me like, you know, more of a woman, more of a lady, like, you know, a couple other words that I feel like people say. And I'm like, no, that's not fair. No. That's not fair to them. And then on the flip side, it's not fair, you know, for us or for anyone who, you know, feels like they have, you know, both energies. But it's the yin and the yang. I think life is just like that. I'm probably going to overstate that so many times as we talk. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. And it's possessing it and like sharing it.
So I actually had a deep conversation with one of my family members, and she said to me, the reason why the word feminine energy like offends or bothers people is because they have this narrow stereotype of what that looks like. It's the woman who wears the high heels all the time, the woman who always has her hair done, the woman who always has her nails done, the woman who's crying all the time. Even like when I watch talk shows, like anytime someone's crying, it's, oh, there she goes being a woman again.
Too emotional. Yeah.
One of the reasons why our country probably hasn't elected a woman president is this stereotype that she's going to be too feminine.
Or get her period and ruin the whole like year. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't know how that's even possible. I mean, like, having blood come out of you every month and survive, I think that's a superpower. And
some people don't even have that. And then, you know, I have friends, people who, you know, are having trouble getting pregnant or different things. That's a whole nother conversation. Right. Then where does your, you know, femininity lie? And then if you can't, you know, produce so many different things, or people who don't. I said uterus in a conversation yesterday, and people were like, oh, like, why can't you just be normal? Like,
what?
Normal. I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, should I call it something else? Should we say?
Like cool cock.
Yeah, like
what? A treasure box.
I said, where did you come from? Yeah, like, you know, if you're being cute, it's one thing, but I was like, it's actually like, there's a diagram, like you have a uterus, like there's a vulva, there's a vagina.
I'm going to say the big one, the big V, the vagina.
The vagina.
Oh, that you can't say vagina around people.
And vagina's not even, you know, like the actual part. You know, there's all different, you know, parts of, that's probably another conversation, you know, but still.
But yeah, bringing it back to the feminine energy, I think it's about, for me, feminine energy means it's my compassionate side. It's my nurturing side. It's my intuitive side. It's my side that, you know, is the great listener. I think embodying that energy. So even if you took away the word femme from it and you just add that energy to, like, I guess we like to like label stuff.
Oh, of course.
But those energies all underline under that umbrella for me. And then when I'm embodying my masculine energy, I'd never think for a second I'm embodying a man or someone who has like different, you know, I guess reproductive system than I do. I look at it from, in this position, I have to be a leader. In this position, I have to be assertive. In this position, I have to just go out and do and not so much plan. I have to execute. And that's me embodying my masculine energy that everyone contains. So I think one of my big focus for this conversation, people listening, I hope that we start breaking away and chipping at the fact that these are energies, and we need both to really survive. And we spoke a little bit off camera about some stereotypes. So one of the things I've been called out for is body hair. Actually, like, I think we talked about this. I love talk shows, obviously. One of my favorite talk shows is The Real. I love The Real. and I love all the women of The Real. And one of my particular favorites on The Real is a woman named Adrienne Bailon.
Yes.
But now Adrienne Houghton. And I think it was like maybe in 2016, 2017. I don't remember the year. But they had like this conversation. You know, they have like almost like hot topics where they talk about things that they see on the internet. This young lady talked about how she doesn't shave. Well, the month of November, she was letting her armpit hair grow out. You know how
like with the men, they don't shave. Yeah, nice.
Right. So she was doing that.
Embodying that.
Right. She was like doing it with her underarms, and you've probably seen it like recent campaigns with different like razors are talking about embracing body hair, which I find interesting because they're razor companies.
Yeah.
But I remember this image came up of this beautiful girl. She was stunning, and she had body hair. Like she would lift up her arm, she had some underarm hair. It wasn't like 3 days after. It was like you could tell she has gone like 3-4 weeks of no shaving. And my fave, Adrienne, said, "Ew, no, that means you don't have a man, girl." Right? You see that's
probably personal, obviously.
Right? Like,
yeah.
My heart sank a little bit. I was like, oh, dang, like that's
like not even you're not a lady or whatever. Like you don't
have a man.
Not a single prospect. Nothing.
Nobody wants you clearly because you're not shaving your underarm. Like,
but I'm not surprised.
You could be an amazingly smart woman. You could be super talented.
Nobody cares.
You could be saving the world and finding a cure for some crazy disease.
Not with that armpit hair.
You ain't got no man, girl. No. So when I saw that, and I went looking for like the sound bite, and I couldn't find it anywhere. Because years later, I think in a 2019 interview, they had a conversation about body hair again, and she later revealed that she actually doesn't have a lot of body hair naturally, and that but is it lucky? I don't think it's for me. I don't. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Sorry.
But she said that all the other little girls, when she was like at her like sleepovers, she would like stuff her underwear with her like her hair from like her hairbrush because all the other girls was producing body hair. And I was like, that's such a 360. You went from like you don't want any underarm hair to like when you were a little girl, you wanted body hair to feel like a woman.
Well, then I was grown.
Yeah. So, but again, I love her, and I get it. When you're on TV, sometimes you say things without thinking, and I'm pretty sure that bias probably came from the pressure she feels because she's in a national skills like space. So that's my question to you. Like, have you ever felt pressured about your body hair and questioned about that in a way like you're not feminine, or you may not even have a partner because of it?
Probably from before I can remember, like, many other things. I remember, I can remember specifically, being like maybe in 3rd grade, and like I knew, I had hair, like I knew had hair on my legs, on my arms, etc. I think, again, like I'm Sicilian and Lebanese, so I feel like like the culture is
you don't have hair.
Yeah, but a lot of people do. Men are super hairy on both sides, and I remember just probably starting to like boys, maybe like I was like 9-10 years old, and I was getting like picked on, I think by this like somebody I had a crush on, which is lame, but that's what we did. And I remember thinking like, okay, I'm gonna shave my legs.
What did he say that you don't?
It was just oh my gosh, let me try to remember exactly.
Was it something like ew? Like,
I mean, it was always munna this, or oh, hairy, or why do you have that, or what is that, like, okay, well, now looking back, it's like, well, you don't have any hair, probably still doesn't have any, like body hair, that's again a masculine thing. I just remember like just feeling ugly and feeling awkward, always awkward, super awkward about it.
And what about now in your adulthood? Have you ever had men either love it or like they're turned off?
Well, now no, I don't have anyone that I know that would be, turned off about it on the street. I mean, I'm not single, so I feel like I pay attention to energies and like people differently, and I own it. Like now, if anybody said anything to me, I would definitely just be like, you're lame. Like who's making fun of like
body hair?
Or anything like that, especially because I think I have a lot of other attributes that I think like I wouldn't probably have, if you're not going to have like, full eyebrows and a bunch of, hair on your head and like even like nails and things. I think it comes from, a lot of research on just, genes and genetics. But I do remember shaving my legs at that point. I just wanted to like have a little boyfriend, like in elementary school, like all my other, friends. And I just felt like it was because I was hairy. Like I must be a boy, because I have this hair, and I remember shaving my legs, and I thought I got away with it, and I was like, yes, like smooth. Obviously you don't know a day later you're gonna feel stubbly and awkward, and like you wish you never ever did it.
So you remember your first shave? Yeah. I remember my first shave too.
Because my mom came into my bedroom and she was like, checking in on me, like what'd you do this evening? Like, Mom, I took a bath. Like, obviously, like, why are you asking these questions? She was like, move the covers. Like, I'm cold. No, like, I'm not moving the covers. No, like, lift them up. I didn't know that the hair was going to be in the bathtub, still. So I got in all this trouble. So not only did I have, like, no little man at 9 years old, but I was in trouble.
No little man.
Because my mom knew, like, once you start, that's it. Like, once you start shaving or removing hair, like, there's nowhere. Yeah. And she didn't want me, I think, like, obviously, she didn't, as a mom, as a woman, she didn't want me to have to grow up, like that fast. And in 5th grade, I remember I wanted to go to a spring fling, and I didn't want my hairy arms out, so I shaved my arms only to like where my t-shirt was.
Oh my God.
I was 5th grade. And then after that, I just couldn't keep up with it. And I would remember getting, bullied and picked on, and, just names and the whole nine.
So when do you feel like the bullying stopped?
The last time I really remember getting, like consistently like harassed about it was probably like college. I think when you asked me about it, I had to think. I remember just some dude like saying something reckless, and I just was like, all right. Like,
did you give him a good tongue lashing?
Yeah, I absolutely did. Because at that point, I was like, you have to start like owning this, and I didn't care, and I already like had a boyfriend at that time, and like I kind of came into my like own in my body, and I realized that like everybody has something. Like if this is gonna be my thing, like it could be. Like, so much worse. And also too, like there's different types of like, hair and different things. Like even though like I had hair on my arms or my legs, like back or whatever, like it wasn't like thick, coarse.
But even if it
like
was,
hair.
Why does that matter?
I mean,
that's my thing. Like I know people, so.
It started somewhere.
Right.
So, skincare companies somewhere needed to sell cream or razors or something.
I love the beauty industry. I do. I come from the beauty industry, and like I love making women feel beautiful. And I think that's the good part, but the bad part is when the sales get to such a place where you want to drive sales so bad, you will convince a woman that has curly hair that she has to have straight hair.
Right.
Or a woman that has straight hair, you have to have curly hair. Yeah. Or if you have hair in your legs, you have to shave it because you want to sell more razors. Like that makes me really sad because beauty shouldn't be used in that way.
Yeah, and that's I don't remember a time when it wasn't, that. And I would remember, I would always compare it to like what I would see for men, or again, like having brothers. I'm like, even from a little age on, like, my side of the bathroom would have all of these products and my brother would have like a toothbrush.
Right, because
like you can just do whatever.
So I have a very vulnerable story. We spoke about it a little bit off camera. Even embarrassed to admit that I accepted this, but so I was in a long-term relationship with someone and we lived together. And he was really big on body hair. He hated body hair on women for whatever reason. Like I had to be a dolphin, right? Like that was his thing. And one day he comes into the apartment, and like I like to leave the apartment hot. I don't know about you, but I like to wear my short shorts. I like to pretend it's Miami. So
you have to,
right?
Survive.
I'm always cold, so I'm running around in my short shorts and my tank top, just living my best life. And I hear the keys in the door. I'm like, oh crap, oh God. I gotta run to the bathroom.
Freaked out.
So I ran to the bathroom and I closed the door, and I didn't lock it, unfortunately, or I guess fortunately, right? I saw him that day, and I'm like shaving my legs, and I didn't jump in the shower. I just put my leg on top of the.
Yes, I am very familiar with it. Yes.
So the quick shave, right? And he comes in. I'm like, oh my God! I remember the handle turning.
You were nervous,
and it was like a slow motion movie. I was like.
Oh, you were murdering
my
someone.
God. Yeah. He opens the door and says, what are you doing? I was like.
You were like mid
shave. And I'm like, shaving? And he's like, I don't understand why you do this. I'm like, do what? He goes, why do you wait until I'm around? It's like you forget.
I'm like gonna sweat again.
And I said, I do forget. Like it's winter time. I'm not wearing skirts outside. I really don't care. And he's just like, that's unattractive. I said, what's unattractive? He goes, you're like, women should want to take care of themselves. I said, but I do take care of myself.
Right.
He goes, no, but you shouldn't shave your legs for me. You should do that for yourself. That's what women do. This man telling me what women do. And I'm like, because I'm the type of partner that I like to, one of the favorite things he said about me was I'm accommodating.
Oh my God.
Is that I do believe in pleasing your partner, right? Like we have our preferences. When he would tape up his beard, it would like make me really excited. But I didn't feel unattracted when he didn't do that.
Right.
There was a time.
Extra.
Right. It was just extra.
Yeah.
It was like just the cherry on the sundae. Because I
Yeah.
feel like you should love a person for who they are.
Right.
And I feel like I just have so many other great qualities that if I have a little stubble on my leg, it shouldn't be a big deal. Granted, we stayed together much longer than that, so he was obviously attracted to other things, not just my little stubble ankles, right? But like, there was a phase that he went through. I don't know if are you familiar with The Walking Dead?
Yeah. Well, I know the show, but I've never seen it.
Right. So there's
Walk
like
me through it.
there's a main character named Rick, and he like wears like this long hair, and like, you know, he's a white guy, and he has like this rugged beard because it's like during a zombie apocalypse, nobody has time for a haircut. And he wanted to look like Rick so bad. And he's an ethnic man. He's not a white man, so his hair doesn't grow like a white man. He wanted the straight back, wet look.
There's lots of notes I'm taking on this.
Right? And when he went through this phase, I was like, you know what?
Supportive.
Right, I just supported it. I was like one day he came to me, had an event, and he was like, how do I look? Should I keep my hat on? Should I take my hat off? I was like, how do you feel? How do you feel? And he was just like, I feel amazing. I feel great. I said, well, okay, well, we are going to take a lot of pictures. So if you want to trim, do it. If you don't want to trim or you don't want to trim the hair, I dig it. Whatever you want. And I proudly stood on this man's arm. I was super happy, super excited to be with him. I was like, yes, my grizzly bear, yes. Like, you know, because
he felt good.
He felt amazing because, and then he did look back at the pictures like weeks later and was like, why didn't you tell me I look a hot mess?
Because you were feeling yourself.
Right. And he wound up shaving it
yeah.
and whatnot. And I remember he was even insecure about going bald at one point in time.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Like for guys,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, just shave it all off. If your hairline is receding, shave it all off. He goes, you don't think I'm going to be less attractive? I said, you're handsome.
It's
like you do, because I just
holding on to it is the
so hair plays a
struggle.
big effect,
Yeah, it
not
does.
only on women but men as well. So I just had to share that story because if you're a man watching this and you're watching us on YouTube or you're watching us or listening to the podcast, go ahead and leave us a comment on if you're a man or you know someone's a man and hair is a big issue for them. Let us know your story about that.
And in which way? Because obviously, you know, for me, I'm always like curious about that because I would think that even with hair, when you said the story now, like shaving your legs, I'm like, legs are a thing that you would think everybody shaved. Like
Right.
legs, armpits are like pretty standard, at least, you know, for women to have to keep up with.
Yeah.
I remember even when like years ago, I finally was just like, all right, I'm just going to go and like, you know, just look into like laser hair removal and just like get things done. I remember like, I was like, oh, those hot spots, like I'm not wasting money on getting those like areas removed because like I'm used to that. I've been shaving those since I was
The kid.
9 years old.
So you mentioned that you have two distinct cultures. And I wanted to know how has your different cultures played into how you identify what is feminine? Is there any influence or impact from either of those cultures?
I would definitely say that I think I have like a unique background because my mom for sure just embraced and always just allowed us, like my brothers and I, to just be and learn. She'd be like, you know, the masses are asses and the people are gonna be like,
Wow.
you know, difficult.
Masses
and
are
the masses
asses.
are asses. Yeah, I mean, look at Twitter, like on any given day. Like you can't, you know, get caught up in what everybody sees and says about you. And then culturally, even with me, Sicilian and Lebanese, like, you know, they're on the Mediterranean, it's over, you know, not in this country, but most people don't, like they stay within like their, you know, culture, ethnicity, and so on. So the funny part is when I started going to Lebanon when I was younger, and I would look around because I always thought like, oh, I'm hairy because, you know, I'm Lebanese or because I'm, you know, Sicilian, Italian. And these women were like,
Porcelain dolls.
they were like smoother than a dolphin. Like you said, dolphin. And I was like, well, then where does this come from? Like, why am I like this? And I found out, you know, women in Lebanon in particular, I think this is like years ago, you know, like 20, you know, years ago when I was younger, would feel like they have to fit into this mold, you know, because women in the Middle East a lot of times didn't have as many of the opportunities as the men would do, especially, you know, if there's more than one boy in the family. So their job was, right, like to look good and keep a household and like, you know, find someone, you know, to be with and to provide for you. So making sure that like, okay, you have this slick, straight, you know, dark hair, everything is smooth, everything is smooth from top to bottom.
Really?
Yeah. And then even my cousins, like, I mean, they're naturally just didn't have any hair. So I was like, gosh, like what the hell, what's going on with me? Like, this is awkward. And then on the flip side, with Sicilians, same thing, but the men were always just super you know, like hairy, not just like, oh, you have hair, like, you know, coming out of like, you know, the like shirts. So I think I always felt like, I don't know like where I fit in or awkward, but I think as I got older and I realized that there's so many different, you know, types, you know, of people, especially from even my culture, that the things that I get from them, you know, like my personality, even like, you know, my voice, my charisma, my love for food, my love for people, my ability to interact and I think like tune in with folks. Like if that trade-off comes with something that maybe, you know, doesn't fit a look or a standard, that makes me even more special. And, you know, to just like, to really just embrace it. But I don't see that many people that look like me. People always think I'm something or someone else. Not someone else, obviously, but, you know, like a different
background.
Yeah, different ethnic background. And I think like the hair part probably would throw them off because usually like, oh, if you're mixed or you're black, like you're probably not going to be, you know, like as hairy. And I'm like, no, well, here I am wrapped up in a little, in a little bow.
I was actually just thinking about that because I think from my cultural backgrounds, I think in like the Black and Latinx community, it's like femininity is not just tied into hair, right? Because there is a part where like the long manes, like recently now we have like a growth of people accepting like natural curly hair, but I definitely think there's a body image too. Like women have to be
always quotes,
right? Because we are like, if we're not curvy, somehow we're less womanly,
right?
If we're not in heels all the time, we're somehow less sexy. And we had this conversation before, like, what is sexy? You know, for me, sexy and feminine energy is a woman, to your point, that, like, to me, you exude feminine energy. Like, when you walked in, I was like, oh, this girl's feeling herself. Anybody that feels themselves, I'm attracted to, because to me, there's nothing sexier or more powerful, which I think is the part of the feminine self, is someone who just believes in themselves, right? And just accepts themselves as they are. So,
and that's, so sorry to cut you off. I think that's like, for me to even, I appreciate, you know, hearing that. It takes, I think all of us are always going to be like in a journey, but I think it's really important for young girls to see that. I definitely could have used that, you know, like when I was younger, or to understand, like, you know, this is your thing. Like, it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you ugly. It doesn't make you awkward. Because if I would have messed with my eyebrows the way I mess with the hair on my arms or my legs, I would be sick to my stomach. Like every day, you know, not because I get a compliment of it, but it's funny to see people now like paying a ton of money to have eyebrows that like look like mine that I got
naturally.
Thank you, but I got, you know, just put through, you know, the ringer with, you know, when I was, you know, younger. Because I mean, there was more, you know, hair that was, you know, connected here,
a little bit of a unibrow.
But you look at Frida. I mean, look at Frida Kahlo. I mean, she's
come
on, like the definition of feminine and masculine, and is greater than or, having both.
And I'm gonna do what I want to do.
And having a unibrow, you know, that's I can't even imagine if my eyebrows connected when I was 9 years old. Like what, you know, the type of the uncomfortability, you know, of it all. But just to be like, okay, who cares? And I want to, like, I wish it's crazy. Like if my mom hears it, she's gonna laugh, because I wish I didn't. First of all, spend like all the money I spent, you know, on like doing like laser hair removal. There's cheaper ways and stuff to do it now. I mean, I can answer all of your questions about all of that like type of thing. Laser hair removal versus electrolysis versus sugaring and waxing and
so you've been
shaving.
Trying to conform to other people's ideals of what
for 20 years for sure, like straight. And then I was like, I'm over this. So there's some parts I miss. Like I used to have more like sideburns, like I miss them. Like I used to get called Dracula, and I was like, I would love to hear that, you know, again.
So if there was advice you had to give to young girls who may be struggling, whether sometimes it's the opposite. Maybe it's not even not having hair or not having enough hair. Like we mentioned, like my girl earlier from The Real, because I just wanted to put out there, I think she's a phenomenal woman and she's doing some great things.
Absolutely.
But to your point, I think young girls, or maybe someone's watching this with their daughter or listening to this with their daughter, what advice would you give to like young girls who may be struggling with just embracing themselves?
Embrace yourself and try, no matter what it is, especially the thing that you think makes you like awkward. I believe 10,000% like that's going to be the thing that probably makes you and that you're going to love the most about yourself in 10 years from now. And that everybody has something. Everyone has something that they're going to find to be ugly, because not, you know, you know, that thing, different strokes for different folks. Like someone's always going to be prettier, always going to have a bigger butt, always going to be smarter, always going to be something. Of course, that's how life works.
But it's like, who are they prettier to? Is it to you?
And that's the thing. Figure it out. Are you feeling those feelings or having those thoughts because of the outside, you know, world, or something that, you know, was put upon you? Or are you basing it off of, you know, guys that you like or people that you like or things that you see on TV? Like I wrote my thesis in college about advertising's effects on teen and tweens.
Oh, wow.
But specifically like urban minority versus suburban non-minority. And all the girls that I interviewed, so like from like ages 9 to like 14, were like, no, I'm not affected by what I see, right? But everything that they like would respond to, they compared themselves to what they saw. So they didn't even know what was happening. So I would say absolutely just, I know it's the hardest thing ever, and I still, you know, struggle with certain parts of that. But love yourself, and the things that you don't think are beautiful or that you don't like, somebody else is really just praying for. Yeah. And I think it's important to like be able to share those things with each other. And so someone's gonna find you beautiful always. That's how life is. But you have to find it for yourself. Because like for me, I could have spent the rest of my life like removing all my hair, and then what? Yeah. It wasn't about that.
Yeah, I think as soon as you said that, Jeannie Mine, who's also from the Real, she has this saying where it's like, own you before they do. My thing is, I guess that's how I've always looked at my life. Like in body, image, hair, it's like, I know me. I'm comfortable with me. And even with my partner, like I said, I didn't mind shaving my legs for him because I was doing that anyways.
Yeah.
I just know he preferred it like all the time. Whereas me, like I'm never gonna do anything for someone that I wouldn't already do.
For yourself all the time.
Yeah, like we went through that phase where he was like, you should try waxing. And when I tried it, I didn't like it. So guess what? I don't care how much you like it, I'm not gonna do it. But if I know you like something that I also am already doing, I don't mind. So that's my advice to young girls. Never do something for anyone else.
Yeah.
Like in the terms of like, if you're not already doing it. Like just embrace if getting your nails done makes you feel good, do it. But I hope you're not doing it so all the other women in the office can tell you how pretty your nails are.
Right.
I hope you're doing it because when you look down, it makes you, like the pink makes you feel good, or the red, or the purple, or the glitter makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Or not the glitter makes you feel good. Like I know there's women who don't want to wear makeup. Don't feel any type of way. Like I struggle to do my eyebrows. Like today I tried. I know like I have a makeup artist friend who's probably looking at me on camera right now like, girl. I'm like, but
I wouldn't even see it, but that's something I wouldn't even know where like to start like for something like that. And it's like it's always going to be a trade-off. And I wanted to say to your point, because I know when you started explaining your story with your ex that you felt like it was embarrassing, and I can understand that because I think like, you know, we don't talk about these things, but also it's important that yes, if you compromise and finding things that, you know, you like for yourself and that maybe your partner or whomever it is into, there's nothing like wrong with that. But the number one thing is why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Like for me, I remember always talking to my mom about it. She's like, Mon, like if you don't like your hair, like I'm tired of, you know, hearing about it, like do something about it. You obviously, you know, maybe you do, maybe you love it.
Like I like fresh shaven legs. Like I love putting that lotion on. It's like super smooth. But I don't feel this, I guess the word is I don't feel disgusted, repulsed, or any less feminine or any less womanly if I have hair on my legs and I decide to put my moisturizer on. Like it just doesn't shake me, it doesn't make me, it doesn't break me. And I think that's oh gosh, thank you for being here today.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking these questions. I almost didn't want to, when I saw the post about it and it was brought to me, I was like, oh gosh, like
the casting.
I don't want to, you know, like necessarily like talk about it or like they're gonna. I was like, who cares? Who cares? Like under here, who cares what you think I have? You know, under here, because some little girl, some 30-year-old woman or 40-year-old woman or 25-year-old, 50, 70 needs to hear it, because it doesn't. People will look at you and they'll see one thing and they have no idea what you're going through. Or went through to get there. So I'm glad that we were able to talk about it.
Yeah, you don't understand. This conversation was really hard for me. I know it looks like I come on camera a lot and I'm just having a great time, and I do have a great time, but this conversation was hard for me because I was so scared of the judgment of like I don't know, like that not shaving all the time piece of it. Like there's times, like the reason why that comment hurt with the underarm hair is because sometimes I do go 3 or 4 days, I'm like, oh, I lift my arms up. I'm like, oh gosh, forgot to shave.
Halt.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like that shock comes from what I think other people are going to say. Because me, if I'm on a train, I see a young lady put her arm up and it's summertime and she has a bit of hair. I don't know. I'm just not disgusted by it. If anything, I'm more like, power to her.
Yeah, to own it.
Like, do you, ma?
I absolutely agree, because a part of me, like, since I wasn't able to do that for so long, I was like, oh, like, you know, who raised her? Where'd she get that, you know, energy from? Or how, like, what did she go through or not go through to feel like super comfortable in that? And it might just be like, I'm from a whole nother place, or I was sick and I had, you know, I have friends, you know, who have had cancer, different things, and they're like, I wish.
You start realizing certain things don't matter.
Yeah.
And when you're sick like that, health is wealth, right? So when your health is in jeopardy, you start realizing the little petty stuff is not a big deal. So again, thank you so
welcome.
much
Thank you.
for coming
Thanks for the
on
conversation.
and doing this. I want to give a big thanks to our viewers who may be listening to our podcast, and thank you to our viewers who are tuning in on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you go ahead and do so. Yes. Also, click the little bell icon so you could be the first to know when we have new content. We also have a newsletter. You can go ahead and check that out and subscribe at thegirlmob.com. I'm your girl, Mary, and I hope to see you in the next episode of Around the Way with the Girl Mob. Bye, y'all.